This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Welcome to another episode of the Love Talk Show.
Yes, and today our topic is about long-distance relationships. Do you think they work? Are you in a long-distance relationship yourself? Well, if yes, what we'll show you today will help you a great deal. We also have guests here on the show that will share their experience with us, and we also have some tips for your relationship to survive the distance.
But before we talk about today's topic, let's watch a video of a football match that Edward took part in with some friends. Though I'm not a big football fan, I was there to support him. Let's check it out.
Loftus Road Stadium for the Big Clash event, and it's an event that Edward was invited to by his friends to play his favorite sport, and of course that is football, and he's somewhere behind me right now preparing, but let's go and see how he does. What does it mean for you to have your wife here with you, supporting you?
It's a great feeling, you know, she's always around. We're always close to one another as much as we can. I love to have her company, and it's an extra motivation, you know, to know that she's here somewhere on the stand supporting us, and I hopefully do well, so she's gonna feel proud of me in the end. It just goes to show how marriage is like this. You give and you take, right? Today she's here supporting me. I'm sure tomorrow she might be asking me to do some activity that I at first don't enjoy much, but actually many times when I started to do something that she enjoyed, I started enjoying it too. So it's discovering each other. It's just growing together.
We are watching a football match and my husband's playing. Wow, and I'm cheering for him. Actually, I don't like football, but I'm here because I see that he enjoys, and I'm happy when he's happy. And in the end, we end up even like it. Yes. Because this shows love. We come out of our comfort zone to please and to be with the person that we love.
It's very, very, very important. The simple thing is that whenever you have a passion about something or anything that you want to do, you go into it with all your strength. And having a partner, someone special in your life, like your wife or that person you've committed your life to, without their support, they're going to automatically be a negative. Do you know what I mean? If someone's not decided to add to you, they're going to take away without even realizing it. So having two of you, you're twice as strong. Having only one person in there, it kind of makes you like half of what you are.
Mr. Jimmy, the keeper there. Okay. Okay.
And
He's got the ball.
He literally lays flat on top of the ball.
He's still got it. He's still got it.
Just over. There we go. Taking it on. Takes a swing. Keeper throws it, but it's going on. As I said, what I want to keep on. No. He had the whole ball open.
there for them. You are the other half. But this is an event also to show our love, our support for our husbands. You know, and that's why I'm here. And I'm here, I brought my son, I brought my daughter, they're here. And it's a family value time, so it's so important for me to enjoy this special family time with my family, my children, and also support my husband and show him that no matter what you're doing, I'm here. And that's what it's about for us.
But the main thing is that we are together as a family, supporting each other, because we are all family anyway.
When you look at the success of something, it speaks for itself, and you see the happiness, the progress, and it gave me a stronger desire to work hard and to have a relationship that I knew could be, you know, more than just a marriage.
And the second half is on the way. What a wonderful save! Oh!
Well, we always support each other. We had a lot of problems in our past, but when we got help as well and counselling, everything like that, everything changed. So now we're always rooting for each other no matter what we're doing. I think sometimes couples kind of compete against one another, and I think that's the worst thing you can do. We're supposed to be a team. A couple's supposed to be a team and work together. So I think it's really important when one supports the other and we're in their goals and dreams and things like that. That's what makes it work.
But the fact that my wife is here, she's my #1 fan. So, you know, if I scored, I would have ran to her and, you know, gave her kisses and stuff. But, you know, it's a nice atmosphere. Everyone's here. But when you have your #1 fan with you, it means everything. You know, it's enjoyable. I just gave a kiss to her now. Thank you for supporting us. So, yeah, it's really nice.
So, Anna, we had lots of fun, and we were doing it for a charity cause. We felt great about it. Everyone there at the football stadium had a great time, and it's important, right? We're talking about sometimes you have to make certain sacrifices. I know you don't enjoy football that much, but I do see that you make the effort, you know, to try to enjoy something that you don't, but I do. And it's crucial, it's vital for the happiness, the success of a relationship, that one understands that he cannot only do what he likes and, you know, show like you're upset or that you dislike what the other one enjoys, right? There has to be this compromise, and I would say a happy kind of compromise. I cannot be, you were not there, for instance, at a football match, like, okay, you know, doing like this with your hand, just waiting for the 90 minutes to pass as quick as possible, right? But you're trying to have fun with it. You're trying to learn something about it, right? It's important that couples do that in order for them to be happy, to have peace with one another, to enjoy one another more.
Yes, because when we are a couple, and especially the married ones, you are not by yourselves anymore.
Oh, yes.
You are one.
Yes.
And I'm happy when you are happy.
Yes.
So when you are happy, you make me happy.
Yeah,
so
that's right. There has to be this one being happy to make the other one happy.
Yes.
Right? One serving the other, one helping out the other. And it's not only about what I like, oh, you know, we always have to do this, I'm never happy with what you like. No, this is very important. We've seen couples have problems because of that. I admit myself that in the beginning of our relationship, I struggled with this a little bit. There are certain things that you enjoy. For instance, we can even say it here, you enjoy going to museums.
Yes, I do.
It's not particularly my cup of tea. It's not something I enjoy, but I learned. Now I actually do. I think much more now than it used to be because it's something that I learned.
And many times you went with me and you also end up enjoying.
Yes, yeah, sometimes
together.
even more than you did.
Yes.
So you see, maybe something that you don't feel excited about doing right now, it's not something that you believe it's gonna excite you or make you happy about, but when you do it, not with a grumpy, attitude, not complaining, not just saying, okay, come on, okay, how many more minutes? When can we go home? Come on.
Be happy for your partner.
Yeah. Huh? To do it like this is better not to do it at all, isn't it? To be there complaining. And once again, we're talking about experience that we went through. I admit that I had done that. And in the beginning of the relationship especially, but we learned that intelligent love entails sacrifice. And one of the different kinds of sacrifices, many sacrifices actually, and one of them is this, is to enjoy something that you originally do not enjoy, but because your partner does, you end up...
support.
Yes, and you end up even liking.
Yes.
I believe you like football more now.
Yes, I do. Yes, I enjoy.
You see, so this is something you can learn together, discover things together about one another, and in the end of the day, your relationship will develop. You're going to go closer to one another. So we have a lot of interesting things yet to show you today. So the topic is this, long distance relationships. Do they really work? Let's find out after this break. Hello, dear viewer. We are here and we came in the middle of the break to tell you this. The best way for you to learn how to deal with your relationship problems, Anna, is to learn how to deal with
ourselves. If you don't know how to deal with yourself, you don't know how to deal with others.
That's right. That's why we have the Love Therapy. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. in Finsbury Park, 232 Seven Sisters Road, N4, 3NX, and also in some other locations. For more information, visit our website, lovetherapy.co.uk. See you there.
See you.
Welcome back to Love Talk Show. Now, today our topic is, do long relationships really work? And we know many people nowadays are in this kind of relationship, especially after the internet has become so popular, right? So more and more, this kind of relationship has evolved. So we believe it can, right? Actually, we are living evidence that this can work because our relationship for a good 6 to 7 months was long distance, right? I was in Jamaica because of my work. You were in Brazil because it's your native country and
when you first met, you were already working in Jamaica and I was living in Brazil. So
actually, it was a little bit different. We're talking about 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, when the internet was not so popular, right? And most of our communication was over the phone.
And through letters.
Letters. Actually, it was very exciting. I remember, really looking forward to receiving letters from you. And I even told you, don't write me just a line or two. Make sure that when you send me something, send a lot.
Yeah. And until today, I keep all these letters. And I used to write like 6 pages.
And I was very happy with it, right? Because this was very good. You were writing about yourself and I was writing about myself. You were talking about your challenges and also about what was good, and so was I. So that was good interaction. Today, communication is like real time. People see each other on video calls and this kind of thing, which is also good, right? But there is a negative also side, of course, in long distance relationship, which is the lack of physical affection, right? The interaction. Of course, the physical part is not the most important part. before marriage. It's more to get to know one another, but it can lead to sadness, to loneliness. However, I believe that you deal with it by trying to share as much information as possible, trying to have a reasonable approach to this distance and not letting the feelings get the best of you, right?
And if the person sees that, is that the right person, that they should invest.
Yes.
It's worth later on, they're going to have the fruit.
And how to find out if they're the right person or not? You have to talk.
Yes.
Right? Which brings us to the most important part of this segment here, which is we want to give you some tips on how to succeed in any kind of relationship, especially also in a long distance relationship. So the tip number 1 is be honest. Be honest. Anna, this is crucial.
Yes.
No relationship can withstand dishonesty. Right?
It's very important to share the feelings. Is there any anxiety, anything, worries, be very open. In our case, when I used to write letters for you, I would say what's going on in my life.
Yes,
right?
everything, right?
Yeah.
Of course, during the dating period, we try to hide as much as possible our flaws, and right, we try to look good all the time and to come out as strong and self-assured, which is fine, it's perfectly fine. But it's also important to be honest about the struggles. Yeah. It's amazing how we have talked to many couples, this is what we do for life, and many of them, even though they were dating for a long period, sometimes years into dating, when we ask them, so what is the difficulty that your partner has? What is the most difficult thing that your partner is going through right now? The other one couldn't answer that question. And I think it's crucial that you know not only about the nice things that are happening, it's also good to know about this too, but to speak about, as you're saying, right, the challenges,
the insecurities,
the
right?
struggles,
yes.
right? What kind of thoughts is the
should
other
not
one?
Never hide anything. You should to be open and sincere as much as possible.
Of course, that during the dating period, you're dating, right? You're not gonna share just everything, but you need to come clean and share what has to do with the relationship. If the person is struggling with an addiction, that has to be communicated, right? If anger is an issue, that has to be communicated. So be honest is our first tip. Why don't you talk about the second one?
The next tip is communicate and listen. It's important, Edward, to keep in touch, right? Because they are already in this long distance relationship. So give time to time, almost every day, make time to call, check on the person, share what's going on in your life. Because if you don't communicate,
sometimes a relationship physically is not a long distance relationship, but emotionally it is, because they're very disconnected, right? There's no more talk, no more interaction, very little communication between them too. Sometimes they can speak openly to friends and co-workers, but when it comes to the two of them, they don't talk that much. So it's important, as Ana is saying, that you keep the communication frequent on a daily basis, of course. And Ana, in a relationship, it's only natural that one talks more than the other, right? But we're saying communicate and listen. Yeah. It's important not only to talk, right? The silent part of the communication, I mean silent on when you're talking, I'm silent. I need to be looking at you ideally and paying attention to what you're saying. So this is important, right? Sometimes couples, they do talk, but no one is listening. It's the two of them trying to...
Yeah, they're not listening to each other, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Prove their point, make their point come across, and going sometimes from subject to subject without getting anywhere because no one is listening. We see that very often. It's a communication, if that can even be called communication, where only, there's only two people talking, no one is listening. So it's important to listen to. The third tip we're going to talk about today is pay visits to each other. Of course, when you are in a long distance relationship, it's difficult to pay a visit unless you you travel. If you can travel, that's
to
good.
spend sometimes a weekend or a holiday, like 2-3 days.
Yes.
But I had the chance later on, after 6 months that you were
talking on the phone,
and send letters. I had the chance to go to Jamaica and spend some time to even to get to know you more, right?
Yes, that's very
Who you
important.
were.
Yeah, that was crucial. So to visit one another, to talk to one another as much as you can, of course. And a very important also point is that they shouldn't let too much time pass in this long distance situation, right? Of course, no one should be rushing into marriage or into a commitment, but ideally, this long distance period, I would say going over beyond a year, it begins to cause, issues, even though we know people that it's going on like this for years, but it's not ideal. It's not the best. I know it can work, but the longer you spend apart from one another, the more difficult it is for this relationship to work effectively. All right? We have another tip there, Anna, talk about it.
The next one is be patient, positive, and confident. Of course, in a long distance relationship, there are emotions involved.
Of course.
Many times the people are, they feel alone, right? They sensitive, they see other couples around and they remember that
they don't have their loved one near them.
So, but you need to fight these feelings.
Yes.
You know that you trust that person, the person is showing sign that is the person that you want to be with.
Yes.
So don't let negative thoughts or feelings to control you, right?
And of course there will be problems, right? But unless it's something serious, unless it's a major issue, what you should be transmitting to one another is security, right? Confidence, patience also, not frustration, not to be there, when are we gonna meet? Well, not pressurizing the other one, and evidently not acting in a way that will cause doubt. You all of a sudden, we're in a long distance relationship and all of a sudden you disappear for a whole week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we don't, there's no answer to my text messages, to my emails or you're not answering my calls for a long period, and all of a sudden, boom, you just pop up back again. I mean, it's strange, to say the least, right? Maybe nothing happened. Maybe it was just you were busy, you were in a business trip or something. However, this has to be communicated, right? Or I'm gonna be away, and where I'm going, there's the internet, is not good, or I cannot afford to have internet there. But communicate, talk to one another, right? And transmit that you're transparent and do everything that you can to make sure that your partner feels safe, right? And feels positive, and that you are also positive about the relationship. So the next tip is set up future plans with an end goal in sight. Well, it's important to understand, if you're in a long distance relationship, that you might spend months, a year, maybe a little bit more than a year apart from one another, and accept this in a way, Anna, as not to cause frustration. Because when people give into frustration, they start changing their behavior to become a little bit negative, or maybe a lot negative.
To be anxious, the person, only think about this 24/7.
Yes, bombarding the other one with messages all the time, and beginning to allow the anxiety, the frustration to show. This becomes something negative to the relationship. It can even be overbearing. So do not smother your partner with text messages all the time. When we said here, communicate every day, but it's with balance, right? Or there will days we'll be talking more, and there might be days you just send one text message in, hello, thinking of you, I'm fine, I'm here, I'm well. That's good enough. We have a next one.
Yeah, the next one is trust and support each other. So, as our topic of today, long distance relationship, you need to trust. You are in this relationship because you already know that person, you invest in this relationship. As you said, you just said right now, don't suffocate the person. Yes. Trust in yourself and trust the person also.
That's right. And of course, Anna, it will help the relationship a great deal if you act in a way that you transmit trust to the other one. That you're not being secretive, that you're not hiding anything, that you're not being dodgy, when asked questions about who you are. That's important, right? So trust is something you build. But on the other hand, if there's no apparent sign that you could be deceiving me or anything, it's important, yes, that I show that I trust you. That I believe that you're fine. And also to be understanding, right? Not every day is the same. I have difficult days. You have your difficult days. And then, we need to be able to be supportive of the other when I see that you're going through your struggles. Maybe you want to talk. Yes. Maybe you don't want to talk. And if you don't want to talk, I need to respect you. If you want to talk, I need to listen. So you need to be aware of what are the needs of your partner. You need to be in tune with that and to know, okay, what does she need from me? What does he need from me? And to be able to be supportive. Because
instead of helping, they already having this distance. Yes. But if they don't support each other, they are going to put more problems.
Yeah, the distance itself already puts pressure in the relationship. Yes. We even remember here the watermelon experiment we did on some shows ago. But that alone brings a lot of stress already. If you don't compensate, not by bombarding the other one with messages all the time, as we said here, but trusting, supporting, it's going to make it all the more difficult, all right? So, as you can see, long-distance relationships are not easy. They require a lot of work, but they can work. They can work. You can be quite happy, carry out this period of the relationship well until you meet again. You just need to be smart about it. So hopefully these tips we gave you have helped you. Now we need to go to a break. Don't go anywhere. We have lots of good things here to show you after the break. Dear viewer of the Love Talk Show, did you know that you can watch full-length episodes now via our YouTube channel? All you have to do, Anna, is to find the Love Talk Show YouTube channel, subscribe. You're going to find all our episodes there in full length, and you can watch for free. You can even copy the link and share with family and friends. But not only that,
you also in the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, follow us, like, share, and comment.
And also don't forget to visit our website, lovetalkshow.tv. There you're going to find even more information that you will not see here on the TV show. And also you can write your questions. Send us your questions to the email questions@lovetalkshow.tv. All right, we would love to hear from you. Let's continue watching Love Talk Show. Welcome back to the Love Talk Show. And now, Anna, we have a couple here with us.
Yeah, very special couple.
Yes, they will share their experience having a long-distance relationship, and they are married today. Well, welcome to the Love Talk Show, Anderson and Solma. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Right, very good. So you're married?
Yeah.
For how long now?
A bit over 5 years now.
A bit over 5 years. And you are from Brazil.
Brazil.
Solma is?
Mexican American.
Mexican American. So where did you two meet?
Well, at the time I was living in the Philippines, and I was working there. Mm-hmm. And I was actually talking to someone else due to the distance from Brazil. Mm-hmm. And I went to Brazil to meet this person,
right?
But I didn't like her, and we broke up. And that's where I met a mutual friend we have. So that mutual friend spoke to me about her and spoke to her about me, and that's where we started talking online, basically.
Right, that's where everything began.
Started, yeah.
And so what was the first call? Was it by phone, or did you video call, or do you remember?
The first one was a Skype?
Skype,
yeah,
right.
A video call on Skype. Yeah.
How did it go?
So I had really bad internet connection. He had a really strong accent at that time, so it was really hard to understand him. So, but he kept persevering even though my internet kept cutting off. So that's one of the first things I liked about him, that he was perseverant.
Right.
And after how long you discovered that he was the one and she was the one for each other?
Well, I think it's hard to determine a time that we came to that conclusion. But I think both of us were really determined to make the relationship work. So even though there was a huge distance, because I went back to the Philippines and she was in California at the time, but we would make sure to keep in touch. And I got in touch with other people who worked with her as well, and she did the same about me. So we really got to know one another. Now we spoke about our flaws, our virtues, our qualities, and so on, and that's it. And then it came to a point where we said, you know, that's it. She's the one, and I believe she thought the same.
And because of course there's many people, especially nowadays with the internet and technology, it made it easier, right, for people to connect. But many people are now going through a long distance relationship. And do you remember having any difficulty because of the distance? What was difficult about the relationship because of the distance in your case?
Well, of course, when you are dating, there are times that you wish the person was close to you. You wish you had somebody to go to the movies with, to have a meal with. There are times that you do feel lonely. And of course, that's a tough moment. But for me, what I think was really difficult about a long-distance relationship was actually after marriage. Because when we got married, even though we tried to be as sincere as possible during the time we were apart, but when you are living with someone, it's something else. So I began to see things in her that I didn't know, and she, of course, did the same. So I believe that if we were close in the dating time, the dating period, we would have better seen these differences and avoided problems.
You're making a point that's very important, because there's many people who think that once you get married, it's like everything is going to just fall into place. Everything is going to magically, even if you have a very enjoyable dating period, the moment you get married, it's a different ball game altogether. Right?
Reality.
Yes, that's when you start to see your differences. They become more evident, right? And of course, it takes work to make marriage work. It takes work to adapt, right? Where you have to understand problems will come, but you have to deal with these problems in the most intelligent possible way, right? And understand that your partner will never be 100% like you want him or her to be, right? There's always going to be differences, and the happiness in the relationship, I'm talking about marriage now, is learning how to live with these differences. Some things will change, other things will not, right?
So it's a tip for those who are in a long distance relationship. Just be as clear, as sincere as possible, because sometimes dating is a bit of a fake advertisement where you tend to emphasize your qualities and you hide your flaws. But when you are married, there is nowhere to hide.
No more, right? Everything comes out in the open. And in your case, Soma, what would you say was difficult in that part of the relationship? What difficulties did the distance bring?
Well, for me, one of the biggest things was he was the first person I dated. So to me, what was difficult was not having him there in person. Because when you're online, usually you say, you don't do it on purpose, but you say the good things, right? Even though you try to share your bad side as well, you don't really get to see it. And on Saturdays, I couldn't go out with him to the movies, or I couldn't actually date him. So I think that was one of the difficulties for me in that sense.
Yeah, it's important, right? The interaction, right? Real interaction, not only virtual or over the phone. But it's something that you can learn to do without if you have an intelligent approach to it. So, and how long did the relationship last? I mean, online or until you actually met and started the real part, we could say, physical.
It was around 8 months, I think. Yeah, 8 months, right?
When we first met in person?
Yeah, it was somewhere there. I went to the US and then I met her. I stayed there for 10 days. And then I went back to the Philippines. Basically, that's when we kind of got engaged. And then about 3 months after, we got married.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So it was, all in all, it was about a year?
Yeah, 11 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one very important point. You know, I think one of the main things in a long distance relationship is that it's not long distance for a long time. But also, if you allow too much time, you know, then problems, you know, can start happening. So in your case, it was about a year. I think it's a pretty reasonable period. Our case too, it was long distance, about 6 months, 7 months, and then more 4 or 5 months. You know, in person, right? And then we got married. So this is a good thing. But also, another important thing I would say is it forces you to speak. You have to talk.
That's true.
Right? Since that's the only thing you can look at each other on the screen and you can talk. But it's good because it basically puts you in a situation where you have to talk and find out more about one another. Would you agree?
Well, definitely. I think that we would speak more back then than we do today.
Yes.
And we would share a lot about our days, about our families, and so on. Like, it was the only moment that we had to really get to know one another. So we would try to make the best of it and speak about anything, really. Our goals, our targets, our vision of the future. And that's when we saw that it really matched. Right? That was it. And then we decided
talk about families that you just mentioned. What family and friends said about this kind of relationship that you
Well, my family was very cool about the whole situation. They didn't really interfere. As long as I was happy, that's what they wanted. No?
Okay. My family, actually, I think the first time they met you was through Skype, right?
Skype.
Yeah. So before we started dating, we had like a Skype with, I think that you also Skyped my family, right? So that was, and then it's difficult because you say you're talking to someone, but then you've never met the person, so it's kind of weird. But then it's like, you're
introducing your family to someone that you don't know. just by a video and by phone, right? Yeah. But one main thing is that you guys made it work. Yeah, you guys made it work. So what would you say was fundamental in for both of you to make it work?
Well, the first thing for me was to know that I had friends and people who knew her. I would never agree to start a relationship with someone that I knew nothing about, or that no one knew nothing about that person. So I had to make sure that there was somebody in common, and not only that person specifically, but I tried to know more about her from other people as well who worked with her. And the report was good. So I said, okay, let's see how it works. And throughout the conversations, we would really share about our day, how our lives were, and so on. And that's basically.
So you had mutual friends, who knew both of you. And for you, Soma, what do you think was fundamental to make it work?
The same thing, and also researching what I could about him. Like, I would go through his Facebook, through all the history, because I wanted to know as much. I wanted to know if there was something bad. I even remember I would make a list of questions to ask. I asked him why his previous relationships didn't work. I would ask about him. I asked what he did every day. I wanted to see what people said about him, because to you, a person can be marvelous, but how do they treat the people around? So that, to me, meant a lot for me to know if he was the one for me.
Right, because that's what dating is mostly about, right? It's a period in the relationship where you should focus on getting to find out the other person. right?
And you need to make sure if that person's the one that you want to really spend the rest of your life together, right?
And not ignore the signs, right? I think that many signs do appear during the dating relationship that could be potentially an issue later on. Of course, no one is perfect. I'm not saying here. I also saw people sometimes just give up on a relationship that could be a success because of something so petty, so small, you know. So it's not a big issue. But there were also cases where signs of, for instance, uncontrollable anger, lies, right, unfaithfulness, and this kind of things did appear during the dating period, and they were just overlooked. They were just, well, I think in the end of the day, that doesn't define who the person is. No, if they're doing it,
it's not going to get better.
We were both very reasonable about everything. It wasn't just an emotion. We didn't blindly jump into a relationship without thinking of the consequences. So, like in the beginning, we would speak, we would talk, and I would always ask her, do you want to continue talking to me? I don't want you to feel like you're being forced to do anything. I don't want you to go forward in this relationship if it's not something that you want. So even though I liked her and she liked me, we were both reasonable, both feet on the ground. Let us think about it. Let's see if that's really what we want. And sometimes people don't really think about this. They use their emotions, they allow the feelings to take over, and they see all the signs, but they just brush them aside. For fear, for anxiety, they have their reason. But it's something that I believe is very important.
Now, so it's 5 years now?
5 years.
Into the marriage? So how's the relationship, and what tips would you give here on the show to those who are now in a long distance relationship, besides the one you already did, but moving into marriage, the difficulties and how to overcome them?
Well, I think the first thing during the time of this distance is to really pass like a certain security to the other person. Because even though we were distant from one another, still there was respect. I didn't have female friends, or since she's not here, let me go to the movies with someone else. Let me, be posting pictures with girls on my social networks because she's not here. So somehow I am free to be more friendly with girls. I think that's something that really made the difference. And one thing that you pointed out, I think it's really the signs. Not the person not to give in to anxiety, not to, oh, I'm getting old and this and that. No, I have to be reasonable. That's something that I was really reasonable about. So much so that I had a previous relationship that was also long distance, and I saw the signs and I decided not to go forward. Right. So I didn't allow my emotions to take over, and it's something that people have to be mindful about.
Very good. So we have here a practitioner of what we're talking about, right? Yeah. Very good. And in your case, Olga?
I would say the main thing is they need to know, for example, if you're dating online 3 years and you have no sense of when you're going to meet each other, and it's just like that, even though you don't want to be anxious, it's there, because so you have to have like a deadline. Okay, let's meet by this time, or if it doesn't happen by this time, then we have to do something else, or else it'll be time wasted, and then you meet the person and it turns out they were not who you wanted. So I would say that you have to have like a time for you to meet each other.
Right. So we have two couples here. Showing you that long distance relationship can work, but there are certain things you need to do. We spoke about not waiting for too long to meet one another, being rational.
Yeah, the red flags,
yes,
right?
Watch for the signs, yes. Right? And protect yourself, of course, at all times. Try to find someone who, you have common friends. These are important tips that we believe that if you apply, you can be the next one here on the show, sharing your story of success. Yes. Once again, I would like to thank Solma and Anderson for coming, all right, and sharing your experience with us. And from here, we're going to a break, but don't go anywhere, because we have a lot of amazing, exciting things to still talk about on this show, right after this. Hello, dear viewer. If you are dealing with difficult problems in your relationship, such as
Fights,
or healing from a harsh breakup,
jealousy,
communication issues, or things of the like, come to the Love Therapy this Thursday and every Thursday at 8 p.m. in Finsbury Park, 232 Seven Sisters Road, N4 3NX. For more information, visit our website, lovetherapy.co.uk. See you here.
See you. Welcome back. Now it's time to check out another love life story.
That's right. This couple is different from the one we have just interviewed. They're also married, but they also have an experience to share about long-distance relationships. Let's watch.
Hello everyone and welcome. We are here in a location in North London, and today's topic we are speaking about long distance relationship and if it really works. And what better person to have than Omar, who currently is in a long distance relationship. Omar, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So tell us a little bit about your story.
I'm in a long distance relationship. My fiance now currently lives in Holland.
Okay.
And we've been dating for about a year and 2 months.
Okay. And how did you guys meet?
We actually met at a mutual friend's wedding.
Oh, wow. And I'm guessing you going to the wedding, you wasn't expecting to meet someone who would become now your future?
Absolutely not. Like, even in that point of my life, I was not focused on finding someone. I was not focused on meeting someone. I was focused on developing myself and preparing myself for a future relationship. So the sheer fact that it came along the time it did was a surprise to me.
I can imagine. And sorry, you were saying, where does she live now?
In Holland.
In Holland. But if I'm not mistaken, she isn't in Holland right now, right?
No, she's not.
Yeah, so joining us today, we actually have your fiance. Diane, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So, you guys are in a long distance relationship. How often do you guys see each other?
Well, in real life, not so often, but on FaceTime. In the beginning, it was daily, and now with work and everything, it's getting a bit more difficult, but we try it at least a few times a week to see each other.
And obviously, we now know that your relationship status is that you are engaged, so soon to be wed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I hope I'm invited to the wedding. I hope so.
We
I'm joking.
can make that happen.
I'm kidding. And how long have you guys been together dating?
A year and 2 months.
In that year and 2 months, have you guys found any difficulties or challenges, especially because it is a long distance relationship? How have you encountered any problems, and how have you managed to deal with them?
I think one of the main issues surrounds communication.
Yeah.
And if the communication is not on point, if the communication is not effective, if the communication is not clear, then there is room for a lot of
Doubts, insecurities,
issues, assumptions,
disagreements.
It opens
many wrong doors.
a lot of wounds we don't need.
Yeah.
So yeah, communication I think was the biggest issue.
And it's funny because that was the next question I was leading up to. Like, how do you deal with the insecurities, which obviously will come up, and maybe, I don't know, loneliness? Do you face that? Because obviously being so far and you're not able to visit each other as often, like, do you face that? And if you do, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, at times it can be difficult. It can be annoying rather, because then when we have something nice that you want to share and you can't really share it, because sometimes we have connection problems as well. Connection from Holland to the UK is not always as good.
Yeah.
So it can be annoying, but then I have to remind myself that it's temporary. because if I'm gonna act on those emotions on that moment, I'm gonna do wrong things that will lead me to make decisions or say things or do things that I will regret later. So
Definitely.
I have to keep my emotions in check, I guess. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, and one thing that we had from the beginning of the relationship is we have a rule where we place everything on the table. Like whatever we're feeling, whatever is going on, like we place everything on the table. So it's like there will never be a point where she's feeling something and I'm not aware of it, and vice versa. So we try and make sure that everything was on the table.
Nice, nice. And do you guys often go to your family or maybe even friends for advice on how to deal with maybe just the situation of just long distance relationships? No?
Not really.
I think that's actually sometimes the best thing to do, just keep it in-house, right? Which is good. And what are your main tips for couples who are right now in a long distance relationship, or maybe they are about to enter into one? What would be your main tips for them?
Communication, communication, communication. Definitely communication. Communication, trust is a big issue as well. If there's no trust, there is no relationship, point blank period. And as I said, making sure that everyone is on the same page, making sure that everything is on the table from the beginning, like being honest about who you are, your mistakes, your flaws, being very, very open with your partner from the beginning, so that when things do come up, as they naturally will, the more you get to know each other, it's like nothing comes to slap you in the face. So yeah.
And I think also an advice, if you're someone that has trust issues already, I wouldn't advise you to enter a long distance relationship, because moments are gonna come that you can't reach your partner. Maybe to work, maybe he's fallen asleep, maybe something else and he can't reach you. If you're someone who's already insecure about yourself because you yourself don't have a life, if I can put it like that, then it's not for you. It's gonna be difficult. So you need to have your own life. You're dating, you're not married yet, so you need to have your own life. Your life cannot depend on your partner. Because if my life would depend on him, I'd drive him crazy, I'd stalk him, and vice versa. So I think that's important. If you can't do that, then I wouldn't advise that to someone who has difficulties with trusting someone else.
Makes perfect sense. Guys, I want to say thank you for joining us here today and for sharing your experience. I'm really sure that it's going to help someone who maybe is already in a long distance relationship, or may even be in a long distance relationship in the future. So thank you very much for being here with us today. And now we're going to take it back to the studio with Anna and Edward.
It's good to know about other people's love stories. We intend to help inspire you with them for your own relationship.
That's right, but we have now reached the end of this show. We believe we have helped you with what we've shown you today. Always remember this: communication is key. This is all you and your partner have when you are in a long-distance relationship.
Instead of seeing this distance as a burden, think of it as a good challenge. If your relationship survives this distance in the beginning, it will certainly be worth having in the long run.
Do keep everything we have talked about today in mind. The good examples we have showed you. Remember to be patient and positive, and you will have a healthy and happy relationship. Remember, you can also watch this and other episodes of the Love Talk Show on YouTube. Just visit the Love Talk YouTube channel and subscribe to be notified of our latest uploads.
Thank you for being with us today. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
This programme is brought to you by UCKG.